Here's what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. Through trees near Kreminna, a Russian BMPT Terminator rakes a woodline with twin 30mm guns and guided missiles. How this tank support vehicle shapes the fight in close terrain is the question. On the Avdiivka front, a lone Javelin gunner stalks multiple armoured targets from cover. Watch how one launcher, one crew, and careful timing change an entire push. Footage shows an M113 ambulance grinding through shattered solidar to a pinned squad as debris falls and a bleeding man is hauled inside. Another shell lands close as the carrier pushes into smoke. Does it make the last turn? On Bakhmut's flanks, Azov's 3rd Assault Brigade breaches a trench by surprise. The camera tracks casualties and hands going up. How many are down and how many surrender before the cut? This is real footage, no effects. Just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. Drone footage released by Ukrainian sources captures a deadly ambush on a Russian patrol near Soledar. Guided by the eye in the sky, a Ukrainian machine gunner unleashes precise bursts on Russian troops, with the drone operator adjusting fire from above like a long-range spotter. The Russians scramble for cover, but the rounds find their mark. Several are hit instantly while others collapse wounded. Drones continue hovering overhead, marking movements and guiding sustained fire onto the remaining positions. The assault inflicts heavy casualties, leaving soldiers dead and wounded. Drone footage released by Ukrainian sources shows a Russian soldier creeping toward a shattered window in Toretsk, Donetsk, clutching a time-fused landmine. He moves slowly, using the wall for support, every step measured. He finally tosses the mine through the window. A blinding flash follows, throwing up clouds of smoke and flying debris. He quickly runs from the scene, ducking behind walls and wreckage as the explosion engulfs the area. Drone footage captures the shelling and destruction of a Russian forward operating base near Staromikhailivka, Donetsk, by the Ukrainian 54th Mechanized Brigade. Artillery and mortar fire rain down with precision, shrouding the area in a thick haze. Structures and defensive positions are smashed under the relentless bombardment. The footage ends with Russian infantry scramble under the assault, many caught in the devastation. A Russian infantry steals a small encrypted drive from a Ukrainian civilian in Lyman, something that looks ordinary but holds critical information. As he runs through the narrow streets, 2 stray dogs bark and chase him, almost giving away his position. A drone from Ukraine's 66th Brigade spots him and calls in a strike, but the thief narrowly escapes. He disappears into the forest, clutching the stolen device, trying to reach his squad's hidden camp. Moments later, multiple explosions rip through the forest as the Mara drone battalion's attack team rains fire from above, turning the trees into a storm of smoke and debris. No one knows if he managed to deliver the data or died with it in his hands. Footage from a Ukrainian drone captures a HIMARS GMLRS strike, obliterating a Russian command and control vehicle, with nearby structures taking heavy damage from the impact. The precision-guided rocket detonates, showering the area with dense tungsten fragments that rip through walls and vehicles alike. The Russian crew, likely officers, are believed to have been inside or near the vehicle at the time of the strike. The operation was meticulously coordinated by Special Forces operatives of Ukraine's 73rd Marine Center. A Ukrainian drone captures a massive shockwave as a Russian military vehicle triggers a stockpile of anti-tank mines or high-yield explosives. The explosion sends debris and earth flying in every direction, enveloping the site in smoke and fire. The vehicle continues rolling forward for a short distance after the blast, smoke and damage visible on its hull, but survival for any occupants is highly unlikely. Footage captures a Russian BMPT Terminator in action near Kreminna, Luhansk. A heavy support vehicle built on a T-72 chassis, bristling with autocannons, grenade launchers, and Ataka missiles. Previously, a firefight reportedly unfolded in the ruined outskirts. Troops are said to have been hiding among scattered trees and makeshift bunkers. The Terminator shifts its aim and lays down concentrated, repetitive fire. The vehicle's autocannons chew through cover while guided missiles punch into suspected positions. Reports afterward count several dead and more wounded from the sustained barrage. The BMPT keeps working the sector, leaving only the question of how many slipped away. Reconnaissance footage from a Ukrainian support drone captures an intense close-range battle deep within the Serebryansky forest in Luhansk. A lone Ukrainian tank crew charges toward a fortified Russian position, its cannon roaring through the dense trees. The tank fires relentlessly, tearing apart the enemy defenses while Russian troops scramble for cover. The forest shakes with each round as explosions rip through bunkers and trenches. The report notes numerous dead and many more injured. One Ukrainian tank crew manages to dominate the entire position, leaving behind only a landscape of dust and debris. Reconnaissance drone footage near Zaporizhzhia shows a successful strike on a Russian Tu-S1 Gvozdika. The vehicle's crew abandons the artillery under cover, scrambling as the damaged vehicle smolders. A line of flame trails behind while fragments scatter across the ground, hinting at the sheer power of the hit. A reconnaissance drone from Azov's 3rd Assault Brigade locks onto a file of 9 Russian soldiers and relays their position to nearby artillery. A small initial blast, likely a drone-dropped grenade, rocks the formation, wounding one and forcing the rest into a nearby rubble-strewn dwelling. As they cram inside, heavy artillery begins to fall in bursts, each shell tearing through walls and spraying the shelter with lethal fragments. The atmosphere turns hazy and violent as incoming rounds obliterate the last bit of cover. Drone footage captures a tense standoff inside a trench line. 8 Ukrainian soldiers closing in on 2 Russian troops dug in and returning fire. The Ukrainians move with precision, using the narrow walls to flank and press forward. A short burst of gunfire follows. One Russian is dropped instantly, the second is flushed out and eliminated moments later in a sharp, coordinated ambush. Then, a 3rd Russian soldier emerges slowly from the shadows, hands raised, surrendering on the spot. The scene shifts across multiple trench sectors, where more Russian troops begin laying down their weapons and walking toward Ukrainian lines, heads low, visibly defeated. In the final shot, the captured Russians are seen being moved under Ukrainian guard, a rare moment of surrender caught clean on camera amid the brutality of the front. The clip opens with the T-72 crew hurriedly loading ammunition, hands moving with practiced, grim efficiency as the tank powers up. The vehicle rumbles out, heading toward reported contact where Ukrainian forces are said to be attacking Russian lines. It pushes across scarred earth, turret sweeping as it approaches the objective, the crew coordinating each move. Reaching the firing line, the tank shoulders into position and begins striking Ukrainian defensive points with measured volleys. Russian sources frame the footage as decisive counterfire, the camera lingering on impacts and plumes of dust as the scene closes. Close quarters battle erupts for a trench in Pokrovsk as drone footage captures 2 Ukrainian soldiers moving through the narrow line. They inch closer to a Russian bunker where an enemy is hiding. Muffled gunfire and echoing bursts fill the air as they press forward, firing short controlled bursts. Dust and smoke rise from the trench walls as one of them lobs a grenade toward the bunker. A sharp explosion follows, striking and injuring the enemy soldier. Forward observation drone footage from the Pokrovsk region, released by the 38th Marine Brigade, captures the catastrophic destruction of a Russian Grad missile launcher. An FPV drone strikes the vehicle, triggering the unprotected munitions to sympathetically detonate. The The blast engulfs the truck in fire, sending fragments and shrapnel flying in all directions. Ash and haze rise high, marking the likely end for the crew as the vehicle is obliterated in a single devastating strike. Drone footage captures a Medevac mission unfolding in the shattered remains of Solidar. An M113 armored vehicle, repurposed as an ambulance, grinds through bombed streets toward trapped Ukrainian troops under fire. Amid falling debris, soldiers rush a bleeding comrade into the carrier as explosions continue around them. The vehicle lurches away, still under artillery fire, its crew shielding the wounded man while their own lives hang in the balance. Another shell bursts close, yet the vehicle keeps moving through. This comes as Ukraine receives 100 more M113 vehicles in the latest US aid, boosting Medevac and troop mobility. Russian forces launched 2 cruise missiles targeting a hotel in Kharkiv, striking a site frequently used by journalists. The attack injures 11 people, including several Turkish media members, and heavily damages the surrounding residential area. Local reports confirm the hotel was not a military target, and emergency responders are treating residents injured in the strike. Debris litters the street and several vehicles are destroyed as firefighters work to control fires sparked by the blast.
Был на смене в этот момент.
Reconnaissance drone footage released by Eskadron shows 2 Russian soldiers walking when a kamikaze drone approaches from behind. One soldier is struck directly. The blast rips his body apart, sending a limb flying through the air. The second soldier is thrown off balance, seemingly caught by the edge of the blast. In the full version of this video, the device can be seen cutting the Russian soldier brutally in half as he takes his last breaths beneath the hovering drone. We have chosen to omit that portion, but reports note its disturbing nature. Drone footage released by Ukrainian sources captures a harrowing scene near the railway in Donetsk. A disabled Russian BMP packed with fallen infantrymen is struck by an incendiary FPV drone. The attack turns the crippled vehicle into a raging inferno, flames engulfing the wreck and consuming everything inside. Dense plumes rise skyward as the blaze intensifies, marking the end of a Russian convoy. Drone footage released by Ukrainian sources captures a tense encounter north of Potomnik, where a Ukrainian special operations soldier strikes a Russian T-80B VM tank with an explosive projectile, damaging the vehicle. The tank crew quickly identifies the source and attempts to chase the soldier, only to be drawn into a second ambush at a T-junction. The tank fires multiple rounds toward the SOF operator, but misses as he maneuvers safely out of range. Additional Ukrainian soldiers attack from across the road, with one munition narrowly missing and another possibly hitting the tank. Thick smoke begins pouring from the T-80 as it struggles, eventually veering off the road into the woods. Javelin gunner destroys entire Russian armored column. A Ukrainian FGM-148 Javelin missile operator from the 36th Marine Brigade takes position at a distance, eyes fixed on a column of advancing Russian armored vehicles. One after another, his missiles find their marks, sending vehicles up in flames. A heavily damaged tank struggles forward, its crew abandoning it amid the haze. Another vehicle erupts violently, parts soaring as fire consumes it completely. The Russian assault grinds to a halt under the relentless precision of the single gunner, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos across the battlefield. Russian sources release footage showing a massive FAB strike on what appears to be a Ukrainian firm base. While the exact bomb size is unconfirmed, reports suggest a 6,600-pound FAB 3000, highlighting the target's strategic importance. The explosion tears through the base, sending fragments flying as nearby structures collapse. Thick black fumes rise and fill the sky, covering the area in a dark, suffocating shroud. The ground bears the after effects, deeply gouged and cratered from the blast. Footage captures an airburst. HIMARS guided rocket strike with devastating precision. Ukrainian drone operators tracked a BM-21 Grad launcher back to its base, where a second Grad arrived to reload. As the crews hurried to restock the rockets, a GMLRS munition detonated mid-air directly above them, showering the site with tungsten shrapnel. The resulting explosion ignites the ammunition supply, engulfing the area in fire and smoke. The strike obliterates both Russian Grad vehicles, their crews, and the entire ammo depot in a single fiery blast. Footage shows the Kyiv skyline lit by sudden flashes as several Russian munitions pierce through Ukraine's air defenses and explode across the city. Blasts ripple through residential blocks and streets as plume rises over the capital. Reports indicate at least 28 killed and more than 130 wounded. Some claim 13 Iskander cruise missiles struck, while others point to accompanying drone attacks. That's today's raw footage, unfiltered and direct. This is M6 Archive, first on the front line. If this helped you track the fight, subscribe, comment, and share.